Good morning. It is Tuesday, July 25th. We're here for our regular scheduled meeting, commissioner meeting. We have two commissioners in the room. Commissioner Peck has got an excused absence, and we have our administrator and our clerk of the board. And at this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and please ask everyone to stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the vouchers.
Move for approval of fund expenditures in a total amount of $610,304.98 as presented, and note that it has been reviewed and signed by two representatives of the auditor's office and the county administrator.
Second. There's been a motion and a second for the approval of the vouchers, or for the warrants and expenditures.
We do have one more.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
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 Move for approval of salary clearing payroll and emergency management payroll in the total amount of $1,185,338.88 as presented, and note that it has been signed by two representatives of the auditor's office.
Second. There's been a motion and a second for salary and payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to the approval of the consent agenda.
Move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 3 as presented.
I second. With no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to regular business, Resolution 2023-208, Fire District Number 1. Ms. Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is for Fire District Number 1 for a fire truck, and it would be a total of $493,493.80. Don't know if you have any questions. This probably will be about 2 years out before they actually receive it.
Everything's backed up. Is there any questions? Any discussion?
And that's the price for just one fire truck.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 2023-208.
I second. There's been a motion and a second for Resolution 2023-208. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us down to discussion of contract with the Arc of Tri-Cities for Developmental Disabilities Parent Coalition Coordination. Mr. Sullivan
Good morning.
and Ms. O'Neill. Good morning.
So I come today with you to discuss a potential contract that we would like to go enter into with the Arc of Tri-Cities. A little bit of background. We've had a parent coalition coordinator for as long as I've been in my role. It had been with an independent contractor. Her name was Sharon Adolphson. Prior to that, the ARC had held the contract. Mrs. Adolphson had experienced some medical issues over the course of the last year, wasn't able to perform the duties, but we held the position hoping that things would improve for her, and she had notified me earlier in the summer that she was not going to be able to continue in this role. And so I'd had conversations with Cindy about their willingness to take that back and perform those duties. And she had expressed that they're ready, willing, and able to do that. A little bit of background. So we had talked about a kind of a dollar amount. A little bit of a background is part of the salary is paid for out of my contract that I have with the Developmental Disabilities Administration. The other part, more specifically why I'm in front of you today, is the other part is paid for out of the Mental Health Developmental Disabilities Millage Fund. And so typically when we have joint ventures, we break it out as a 70-30 split, with Benton County covering 70% of the cost, Franklin County covering 30%. And so I'd sent you an email here a couple of weeks ago kind of detailing that and some of the duties. I'd asked Cindy to come because this is really her realm, and she would be able to give you a little better explanation of what some of the duties of the Parent Coalition Coordinator are. But the ask would be the total contract would be a little over $63,000 a year, with half of that being paid for out of my state contract with DDA. Of the half that would be covered by millage, Benton County would cover just over $22,000. Franklin County's portion would be $9,457 for the year. And if it's all right, I'd like to kind of turn it over to Cindy and let her talk a little bit about what the duties of the Parent Coalition Coordinator are.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The purpose of the Parent Coalition contract is for family members. It's a requirement if you are a Parent Coalition representative to be a family member of some form. You don't need to be a parent, but you need to be a family member of someone with developmental disabilities so you can understand and assist in their quality of life and their needs and the gaps of services and so forth. So they are the voice of the family, and there's a big legislative component for this contract, but there's also a big outreach and support to families, education and information, and that's where the millage comes in. The ability to be able to have the flexibility to meet the families when and where and provide the information how they would receive it the best. Pasco's growing a lot. We're doing a lot more work in Franklin County. It was a mixed blessing when the Parent Coalition contract became available because Sharon was very effective in it, had been doing it a long time. But it is the norm. It's not completely, but about 85% of the parent coalitions are held, the contract is held by the ARC. So was an easy fit, and we have partnered for years anyway. So it was kind of a natural transition. So that is the purpose of it, is to be in the community, meet with the families, provide information, assess their needs, do outreach projects to gather what the needs are, be informed, provide them information and education that they need, and take it to Olympia and work with the legislators, both locally in the district and on-site in the Capitol. Do you want more information? I can get into the weeds if you would like. But
Well, I appreciate everything you're doing for the families.
Oh, well, thank you.
Being the spokesperson, and we definitely need this, so.
I think one thing that I'd like to add, and I had forgot to touch on this, the reasoning behind splitting the contract between our state contract and the millage fund. The state is very specific in what we can do with that. Having that broken out with the millage, with local dollars, allows more flexibility and allows that Parent Coalition Coordinator to do the other things that are necessary that you can't, bill an hour to, that the state says. And so the previous contract that we had with Sharon, we had millage funding included in that for just that purpose also, so that there could be flexibility, so that she could do what quite frankly needed to be done without sticking to exactly what the state dictates that we do. And so the reason I came back before you is that there'd been this gap in the amount of time that we've had this contract, and just to re-explain what the duties are, and just to again ask for permission to use some of Franklin County's millage fund for this, and if the board approves it, then what I would want to do is at a later date, once we work out the details, just put a contract on the consent agenda for Franklin County's portion of that millage fund. The remainder, I would have a Benton County contract for their portion of the millage fund, and then we would have, as part of that contract, the dollars that are part of my DDA contract.
Okay.
That has Benton and Franklin County dollars in it.
So have we just had a void here for why she's been out on medical leave?
We have. Yeah, again, it was Sharon. Sharon did a great job. She's a great person, and the hope was that she was going to be able to recover from some of her medical issues. She's recovering, but she wants to focus her energy on that, and isn't able to perform these duties. We just had kept that position open for a long time. It was a contract that we'd had with her, and we wanted to give her an opportunity to heal and do what she needed to do and make decisions based off of that. But I think the time has come now that we need to move forward and continue providing the services, and the ARC is set up to do that.
So if people are reaching out, where would they contact you?
I live at the Ark. I can always be found there. It's very easy. Email. My email is cindyo@arcoftricities.com. The Ark's phone number is 509-783-1131. My extension is 103. So I think it's also important to know when I said in the beginning, the job of the Parent Coalition representative is to be the voice of the family. And it really is. It's, even though it's funded by the state, and if the ARC houses the contract, the ARC cooperates and corresponds and coordinates with the Parent Coalition person, but we do not control them. We do not set their agenda. We do not say, these are your priorities for this year. Go see what the families think. They are the advocate for the families, so it gives them that flexibility, and that's where the millage is important. They can go out and really spend time and educate and give information to families about services and legislative items, and they can gather information. And then they meet with there's a statewide group of Parent Coalition advocates. They determine their own legislative priorities based on what they all have gathered from their local communities for the families' voices. So it's connected but fairly independent with what their needs are and how they gather what the needs of the families are. We don't always hear, when I started in this business 20-some years ago, you would go to Olympia and speak with legislators and they would say, why have I never heard this? Why I never heard this was an issue? Well, because the families are home hoping they get a shower today. They have needs, but they don't have the flexibility, the freedom, and the time to actively advocate. So if they have a local coordinator who can fill that gap and be their voice and take the issues for them, it has really been a blessing. So these contracts have thrived and they've grown throughout the state. Thank you.
No, thank you.
So today, I don't see a resolution. Are we just looking for consensus today?
Yes, yeah, and just approving that I can enter it, that I can work on developing a contract, and again, I would put that before the board at a later date.
I'm
I'm in
consensus.
favor of it, so
Yep.
yeah.
You got our blessing.
All right, great, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thanks.
All right, that moves us down to public comment. Is there anybody in the room or anybody on the phone for public comment?
No one on the phone at this point, sir.
And I don't see nobody moving forward. So we'll move down to
Oh,
commission.
we have somebody in person, though.
Please. Yeah, just come to the mic. There you go.
Sorry about that. Thomas Granbois, Big Maple Properties, 108 North 4th in Pasco. Feels like it was just yesterday that I was here, but I think it was right at the beginning of the year when you guys were signing the contract to Booker for the Wilson House. And I wanted to, turns out that my wife and I ended up winning that auction at the last moment. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Booker team and Tiffany Deal specifically. They were incredible to deal with. So it's good to keep them in. I wanted to thank you for making that property available. We've been working on it, and we've been finishing some bathroom renovations so it can become a part of the low-income housing solution in the downtown. As you know, for 20 years, it's been a part of the mental health solution in the area, and now we're continuing its tradition and service. So we wanted to thank you guys very much for that. It's been great. It was a daunting project, but it's been great, so we appreciate that. Want to touch on another item. In mid-May, Sheriff Raymond and I had an interaction about with downtown. As some of you may know, we have some properties downtown, and he commented about his struggles. And since then, I don't know what he managed to do, but since then, we've noticed a marked improvement in the activity that's happening there that makes it less desirable. So I want to thank Sheriff Raymond for his advocacy at the state level, whatever he managed to do with the legislators to get them to move to get him to do his job. It's been a huge difference in the past 2-3 months. And then on the last item, I heard on the news that there were some issues with a P-card purchase. It's a big deal over a small amount, and I personally would be willing to, my company would be willing to cover that difference just so that we can move past this. I can't imagine, I understand that that it brought things to light, but the amount of staff time that has been involved in this has to have gone above and beyond that amount. So I'm personally offering from my company to cover those costs just so we can take that and move on past it, and so everybody can do their jobs.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Is there anybody else for public comment? Seeing nobody coming forward, we'll move down to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you, Thomas. And Thomas is someone who's a huge advocate for the community. I want to tell everybody that I work with him at DPDA. We're both on the board there, and when I work with the city, he's a downtown business owner, really passionate about the city of Pasco in particular, downtown. So definitely thank you, Thomas, for all your efforts, and we've been to bat on a lot of issues. We don't always agree on our politics, but as friends, I would say we are really good friends. But I love his spirit for the city of Pasco. I mean, he's a good one. I also thank Kyle Sullivan and Cindy. They're really doing a lot of yeoman's work and just really a tremendous asset to the community. Some of the things we've been working on, divvying out the retention pay approval, and I can tell you, commissioners, it's been received so positively across the courthouse. I've gotten calls, emails when I'm walking in the courthouse. People are simply saying thank you. So it's just been great, and I really think it reaffirms that we did the right thing. And you know, there was a lot of question marks, kind of, you know, what's happening in terms of retention rate and who's coming, who's going. So myself and Margot Wilder, we dug into some of the numbers, and the interesting thing in 2023, we've had already about 50 people that have left, and we're on a pace. About 35% of our employees are set to leave this year. So hopefully that this certainly is a stopgap measure for that. It's an amount that I think is going to be really impactful. We had a chance to look at some of the data in terms of what our employees make. Nearly 70% of our employees make between $30,000 and $70,000. So that's going to be really impactful when you consider the median income in Pasco is $78,000. So more than half of our employees, you know, if they're on a single income, they don't even meet that median income guidelines, you know. And in terms of the ARPA, it's a one-time payment. I had a chance to talk with Tim Anderson, our finance director. You know, from a COLA perspective, you know, that was talked about quite a bit. The amount of money, the 1.5, wouldn't really sustain us for more than maybe a half year. So, you know, COLA is, I mean, that's a sustainable amount, that, especially when you have collective bargaining units for multiple years. But just really wanted to reaffirm that I really think when you look at the data, when you look at morale issues and how I already see that increasing as a result and just a positive spirit. So again, thank you, commissioners, for approving that, because I really do think the numbers and the data support that it was the right thing to do on behalf of our employees, and the feedback I'm getting has just been incredible. Other things we've been working on the Courthouse Connection newsletter. That's been received really well. It kind of gets my old journalist chops working again. So we're telling stories about people across the courthouse, and it's fun, and it's something that people have enjoyed. Also had the HAPO Advisory Board meeting as we look at the RFPs that are coming back to run that facility. We've got the HAPO RFP interview schedule set. We have an oral interview segment. So what we're going to do on August 3rd, we're going to bring the 3 applicants in for oral interviews. Each will have 7 to 10 of the same questions, and they get to articulate their vision. I've had a chance to talk with each of the applicants. All 3 thought it was a really good idea because, some are more experienced than others, but, perhaps it levels the playing field. And I think that was really the feeling amongst the group was, we really get to sell our vision in person, and our strategic growth committee gets to ask them questions. So, from a transparency standpoint, I do think it takes it to the next level. So really excited about that. And all 3 agreed to sort of alter the date that the recommendation is made. So again, August 3rd will be those oral interviews. And because of scheduling and timing, all 3 wanted to be in person when that recommendation is made. So that'll be August 15th. So I'm really excited about the process. It's been a good process. I think it's been a transparent process. And I think when one is selected, I don't think there's going to be any question that we took every step possible to give every applicant the opportunity to shine. So
That's it?
that's it, sir. I got some more, but I'm sure people are like, okay, be quiet.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Mullen?
All right, so this past week, we had the Board of Health meetings. Also, the Disability Board met. Visit Tri-Cities, there's no meeting in July, but I do want to say that a couple of the points there, they've secured the 2024 and 2027 World Horseshoe Pitching Championships here in Tri-Cities, and also secured the 2026 Washington State Council of Firefighters convention. Also, I want to announce or just re-announce the Sheriff's National Night Out, which is August 1st from 4 to 8 at the Basin City Memorial Park. And also just like to mention what a great job I think Mike Gonzalez is doing, and the changes he's made in the courthouse here have been phenomenal. So good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, my past week was the Board of Health also, and we have another meeting today.
Yes.
Or no, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We have a special meeting tomorrow. Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Coalition, I could not attend because I had Hanford Communities at the same time. And then there was a Columbia Basin Sustainable Water stakeholder meeting I could not attend because I had the Port of Pasco. For some reason, I had the conflict. Those all overlapped one another that day. And we had our agenda meeting on Friday. Mr. Gonzalez, I want to ask, has any employee declined to take the?
I know I have, but
No, I mean,
others so far, and I was hoping Margot was going to be here. I meant to tell her to come because we've had really good response
Yes.
in terms of the number of employees. But at this point, we haven't had anybody that has specifically said, "Hey, I don't want it."
that would be a clue that they were going to leave.
Right,
'Cause they-
exactly. So, and we have had one person in the PA's office, but they were intending to leave anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that was really a factor in them leaving. They had decided before.
Because the
But,
caveat is that they got to stay through August of
yeah,
2024.
and I think based on the numbers and the data that we saw, we're gonna be able to keep these individuals through August of next year, which that's a huge thing, especially when we're seeing attrition rates, right now officially at 32.5%, which could increase depending on what happens. So We're just kind of in a hold pattern in terms of we don't want to hemorrhage any more employees, and 30% is a good till. So when you think of training, having to recruit, the time it takes, I mean, that's a lot of money just to find employees. So I think the intent of it was good, and I think it will be impactful in terms of keeping employees, and then also the thank you factor, and then ultimately with the Consor study coming out, and what I told my department heads and when I talked to the elected officials, certainly we know the Consor study, what it shows is not a guarantee of a COLA, but my intent with Consor from the beginning, as I've been really transparent, is to give us a roadmap and a guide wire of what we do in 5, 10, 15 years, because as I've talked to some of my senior managers, we have literally never done a strategic plan here,
Right.
For growth opportunities, for sustainability. And I come through the city of Pasco lens, where when I left the city of Pasco, we had 7 separate comprehensive plans going on in terms of roads, sustainability, utilities, the Broadmoor. So, I bring kind of that lens from the city perspective. City does a really good job of planning the future, I think, and that's something, there's no reason we can't do it here.
And I just want to compliment you too. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Doing a great job as our new administrator. All right, well, that takes us down to elected and department heads. Is there any elected or department heads that have anything they want to talk about? Seeing none, we'll move down to administration office business. Mr. Gonzalez.
Sir, we've got quite a few items here. It shouldn't take too long, but I've just got a bullet list of things that can be taken care of. So speaking of that Consor study, Clark Worth and his group from Consor, they have emailed each of you, so just look for that in your inbox. So they're trying to set up one-on-one interviews with each commissioner to get your perspective on the health of the county, and they'll go through a litany of questions for you. So just look out for that. Also on the radar, will be coming to your inbox pretty soon, is the Hub, who is our insurance broker. They would like to meet with commissioners one-on-one, just to look at county contributions, how those contributions affect VEBA and other things, because the thing that they're telling us is we're extremely generous in our contributions, but the distribution of it to employees, I think, could save money and also contribute long-term to COLAs and things like that. So I think that can help our financial health too. That's something Consor is going to look at. Other thing, so both commissioners, you've got this Kaufman Engineers document, and this is something I sent in my Sunday update. So all 3 commissioners should have this document. So City of Pasco approached me recently. They want to perform a mechanical and electrical inspection of the HAPO Center. The cost is $28,000, and originally when I talked to their city manager, they wanted us to pay the full price, and I talked to Adam a little bit on a compromise piece, and maybe perhaps we pay half. The intent is perhaps to buy the facility. I don't. That's something that was thrown out there, but so we have data from McKinstry that we certainly can share. That's public record. Anybody can get that. I think their intent is to really take a look at the guts of it, but ultimately what they want to do with that data, they'll share it with us, but they would like us to pay half. So wanted to kind of put that on your radar. We don't have to make any sort of decision now, but and certainly wanted to bring that out into the public from a transparency standpoint. So when you get that opportunity, dig into that and read it and see what you think. Other thing we've talked about quite a bit, and this is in coordination with Sean's office. I've had some meetings with him, and it would really be helpful for the PA's office to move the meetings to Wednesdays. I've talked to our department heads. They like the idea, and I haven't seen any resistance. The big issue is they have their criminal docket on Tuesdays, and they're running back and forth. You see Sean hustling up all over the place on Tuesdays. So this would be helpful. We'd like to start that on August 23rd, if possible. and that would also help out BOE. So the Board of Equalization, we've got, what, Jennifer, 285 petitions. So we got a lot of petitions this year. I think it's the highest number we've had in maybe ever. What was last year, Jennifer? Maybe 21. So it's grown exponentially. So they're going to need this room quite a bit. And I think, again, it's going to make it a lot easier for the PA's office. So I think when Commissioner Peck's here, probably would be good to talk about it as a group, just to make sure everybody's on board. Code of conduct, I know we talked about that this past Tuesday. We're working on that with Dwayne Davidson. So that should be complete and ready for next Tuesday's agenda. Only other thing, because I've been getting quite a few emails and I've been talking with Jennifer Wagner, we've had some HVAC issues up here on the second floor. So I wanted to put this on your guys' radar. It's going to cost quite a bit to fix, but it's kind of been, we're having to have the air conditioning guys come in every morning and kind of do whatever they have to do to reset it. So we can either buy a coil now or take care of business now, because we're going to have to take care of it anyway. So I wanted to put that on your radar in case you guys are getting emails about it. I just started getting emails yesterday that it's 82 in here, and you know, it's affecting this part of the courthouse. So you know, we're
I
in a
know
hot
this.
part of town.
We've used the ARPA funds for HVAC before, and can be used for that.
Yeah,
We still
I
have
think it
ARPA
could. That
funds.
might, yeah, because we'll have some left over, so that could be a really good use of it.
Yes.
And there is a sense of urgency because I feel for our employees that are on this floor, because it's really intermittent, and you know, you know how hot it gets in the Tri-Cities. So, but that's it. We had quite a few things on this, but I just wanted to put these things on your radar.
And one thing I want to make note to you, Mr. Gonzalez, is our next night meeting. Do we have a date for our next night meeting?
Let me find out, because I'm not sure.
And then the bi-county meeting, because I've been in touch
Okay.
with Commissioner Will McKay, and he's really wanted us to get together for a bi-county meeting so that we
Okay.
can go over mental health and a lot of things that are working
I'll
together.
get both of those answered for you ASAP.
Okay. Thank you. All right, with that, we're down to public comment. Is there anybody in the room for public comment? Anybody on the phones?
Nobody on the phone, but just did get a message from Maria Perez on our Jabber. Next night meeting is August 15th, so right around the corner.
Okay,
So-
August 15th.
Thank you, Maria.
And then as far as moving the meetings to Wednesday, I have no problem with that. I don't know if Commissioner Mullen does, but would that mess with your schedule?
I don't have any issues with it. It might affect my immediate schedule for the month of August, but
What
No,
date were you proposing that we move
I'm
that?
thinking August 23rd. It doesn't have to be that date, but I mean, we certainly could wait till September if that's either kind of hit the reset button.
It might help for everybody. Earlier the better? Well, I know the commissioner meetings used to be on Wednesday.
Yeah, they used to
got
for
moved
many
to
years.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I think Commissioner Mullen and I both remember when that was moved to Tuesday.
yeah.
But I don't have a problem.
Okay, and I know Sean would appreciate it. His group would, and
Yeah.
a lot of our department heads, from a timing standpoint, getting the agendas and ASRs in, it would be easier. So for everybody, it would actually be a nice thing.
Okay. All righty, and then with that, I think we have one executive session.
Yes, sir, we do. And this is an executive session under RCW 4230110, subsection 1 and I, and it's to discuss with legal counsel matters related to agency enforcement actions, litigation, or potential litigation.
Okay.
I'm thinking 20 minutes.
And who are we going to have in the room? Besides two commissioners, yourself.
Yes, sir. Sean Sant will be in here, and I know he's on his way. And I believe that our auditor will be in here as well. He's not? Okay.
I request the auditor be in the room.
Okay.
Skip public comment the second one.
No, I asked for public comment,
did
and nobody came forward,
Okay.
so.
Commissioners, if you're going into executive discussion, discuss this issue right here. Make sure that everybody that's involved in it
Well, it's to do with litigation.
I just made my public statement.
So he just gave his administrator's office.
George, we're working on that, what your request was, we're working on it, and we're gonna have it here probably. Okay, we've come out of executive session. We're back to regular session. So we're back to regular session. Is there any other business for the good of the county?
No, sir, there isn't.
Hearing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.